Gora Andu Rai say, Amamaseta, Ashidu Ashite Ashuan, vibrations every bucka. May your mind, buckas, and souls be old. May your omits be sound. May your buckas be leavened off ground. When we keep to the breath, the orth, the mothor, the seon, the soul of Ra, guides and keeps you old. Ayanma. I say Ra. Ella E say El say I. Christ Ori Chaplain Tata Amen Ra, the sound Messiah. I'm a truth awareness, true talk. Come be a part of the greatest transfer of Ma Else. That's intelligence, Aminology to Angodu. This is sound logic. With all that offered to you, being a fool is absolutely your choice. To Ray is Ray 1879. This is the Crypto Shit Shower update where we remind you that the blockchain is not a financial umbrella that you can hold and prevent shit from head. Well, as we can see, we got the C walk happening. That's to sever you. When we have a sideways movement, you see this kind of stuff. That's just the grab. That's pure transaction making movement, making you buy and sell. And it won't go up or go down to make it worthwhile for you backing in or backing out. And what I mean by backing in and backing out is getting back in to regain, or getting back out to rebuy at a lower price. It keeps you oscillating in a zone. So it takes an extreme amount of structure. Okay? And the structure can only work if you're not really watching the motion. Okay? And if you're not watching the motion, well, then you're susceptible to getting trapped up or down. So what are we going to do? How are we going to play this? Well, it's not simple, because if it is, we wouldn't be in this situation. But we got to stay true and strict to the Mithorian Kagadora. We got to get rid of those allies called emotions, like greed. Okay? We got to recognize that this triggers chemical reactions similar to what you can call a drug. See, a drug detaches you from radiance. That's what it does. It removes your thought from your go. So that means you're moving without a plan of your own. You're moving on something else's plan. And that's usually the things that inhabit your mind and your body, take over your soul program when you're drugged. We got to stay true to Ra, because Ra radiates its thought. And when Ra radiates its thought, and when we receive, the only thing that we can do with that thought is radiate it. So that means we got to go do something, whatever that thought is. And so if we are attaching Ra's mind set of rules and structures to the algorithm, then we have to force the algorithm to adhere to our structure. But we can't expect for this algorithm, which is draconian, which is opposite of Ra, to fall in line with our structure. So what we have to do is hold our structure, stay outside, and then when the algorithm brings the market, brings our price within our structure, then we trap it. Because just like we have to volunteer, it now is voluntarily coming into our structure. So I have structured this for us that Bitcoin being their Jesus, being their Savior, being their Messiah, the item, the object, the artificial element that's going to attract all things to the blockchain and cryptocurrency, I've parted structurally with the Kagadora's rays, giving it two options: the reduced or what is. Now the reduced, we reduced the numbers. So for instance, today is 1879. So Bitcoin needs to be 97,000. That's what it had to have opened and or closed. It has to meet that level of 97,000. Okay? In less than 24 hours, Bitcoin's going to have to be 98,000. And then the ray after that, it needs to be 99. Okay? So on Monday, it's going to open up. It has to open up above 91,000. Okay, so we've seen for 3 weeks in a row. Okay, we're going to put this on the daily. Go to Google, go to Apple, and download this Kagadora app. Okay, so you can increase and strengthen our structure, our calling. Okay, go to Google, go to Apple, download the Kagadora app. It's essential to get the timer component. It's not just a ray it's not just the, how you would say, the daily calendar, the Rayleigh Kagadora. Okay, there is a time component to it. And so you're on the 60-second, which is perpetually spiraling down. Well, we have the 90 Kadu, or the 90, Shu, that goes spiraling up. Okay, it's 90 seconds. Okay, equivalent to 90 seconds. All right, so we can see for the last 3 weeks, okay, since November the 1st, okay, so actually 6 weeks. Okay, no, that's November the 21st. Yeah, so about 3 weeks. This has made a low, okay, and we were expecting it to continue. Okay, so look, 80,000, 83,000, 87. Okay, so remember I was calling for 86 because we have 86 here, we have 83 and a bit here. So yeah, that falls in line. They've went 3,000 plus a couple hundred here. So here they've gone about $4,000, right? So I wasn't too far off. All right. And you can see now they're at 90,000. Okay. They wicked all the way down the other day to 89,000. Okay, so that kind of would fall in line. Okay, that kind of would fall in line if, if they're going to, continue to try to ride up with Bitcoin. Okay, we have to recognize that the sound is their structure. Whether they accept it or not, believe it or not, they have no choice, because that's why the program was created. It's the only thing it can do. Okay, it's detach itself. Okay, and so if we are ascending, it doesn't matter what it wants to look like, it has to play off of an upward elevation. Okay, and so what we can see is that it doesn't want to go within the range. The highest it's gone is 94. We know what happens when it gets to 95. It's open. Okay, it's payday. That's what happens. It gets marked up. You got all the algorithms and everything, all the bots that are holding these wallets and operating these wallets. Okay, they're on a markup machine. Okay? You got it. You see that. If Bitcoin is going to maintain par, it should. That's what it needs to do. It needs to get up. It needs to get it up. Because we're 20 days away from it having to maintain the 100,000 zone. Okay, right now it's not maintaining the 90,000 zone. It's staying in the very low range of our etheric zone of 91,000 to 99,000. Okay? And so if it's going to continue to do this, what can we expect? Because it's flirting below 90s in the 80s, right? It's in the high 80s. So if it, and it needs to be in the 90s. So if it's going to continue this way, then perhaps when we are in our hundreds, it's just going to maintain the 90s. Okay, so on one hand, you're going to see perhaps a little bit increase, but you might even see a decrease. Why would you see a decrease? Well, if Bitcoin's value is $90,000 and you're looking at your altcoins, okay, struggling. Okay, you might have a little bit of a, like, what is Bitcoin going to do? The only thing Bitcoin can do is get up to $99,000. What's that really going to do? What's the big difference here? Okay, so the only thing that's going to happen is they're going to take that money, okay, because you're going to go gaga gaga, you're not going to know what's happening, you're just watching Bitcoin go up, and then that money is just going to disappear. It's going to fall, and it's just going to oscillate, right? And so your value is probably at best going to be maybe 10% more than it is now, which is huge amounts of money depending on how you look at it. Okay, if you're holding. Okay, if you're a holder. Okay, I have no longer considered myself a holder. Okay, I'm not holding on to this shit. Okay, I'm in and I'm out. Okay, even with spot. I don't do futures. Okay? I buy at the beginning of a cycle and I try to get rid of it at the end of a cycle. Okay, until I see anything different, that's just what I'm doing. Okay, Bitcoin has to move for me. I'm not moving for it. I'm not dancing for Bitcoin. Okay, nor should you be dancing for Bitcoin because it's not making any sounds for me to move to. Okay, it's not making any sounds. All right. We know if Bitcoin gets into the 95 zone, which we're going to force it because the ethers is going to be in the hundreds, so Bitcoin can't fall too below for too long. It's just going to be a disaster. It's going to shut down. It's going to shut the shop down. Okay, not only are you going to possibly at risk lose your capital, but you're also going to lose something to do. Okay, you're going to lose something to do because it's going to be useless, watching this thing and being trapped by it. It's not going to do nothing for you. Okay? That's why everybody who's with sound logic, blockchain, crypto is just a lily pad. Okay, it's just a lily pad. No matter how much you dedicate your time to, it could be 100% of your time. It's still a lily pad. Okay? You're still a squirrel. You're still filling your cheeks, and you're still burying your nuts. And when winter comes, when the market shuts down, or you no longer have access to it, or whatever, blah blah blah, you can move on, which is move life. Okay, not death, because this is all we're doing right now is we're moving death. We're not moving life. Okay, we're moving death, and we're hoping to get, some death credits for it. So we can buy back life from death, since death, unfortunately, has obstructed us from obtaining our credited life. All right, so that being said, Bitcoin right now, when we go back to the minute, looks like it's going to be threatening to go back into its lower range. Okay, remember that we are still in the gray area. Okay, and the gray area is between $91,000 all the way up here. Okay, and $88,000 all the way down there. So that zone of $3,000. Okay, this is a buy and or a sell zone. Okay, if it is in the high end of 90, 91, even gets to 92, 93, we're seeing that is the top. Okay, so that's when you should be taking profits. Okay, and when it gets into the lower end of its zone, okay, which is in the 89, 80, that is when you can consider buying. Because if it gets back to the high range and by chance possibly breaks through above 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, so it could compete and be at par with the sound, with the Kagadora, then you're in good profit. Okay, then you're in good profit. Okay, you got that. Because every time you get out and get back in, you're very most likely going to be losing some of that profit that you made. For instance, you know, when I bought in down in the 80s and watched it ride all the way up to 94 and got out, okay, every time I got back in, I got snagged. Okay, I got caught. Okay, I got caught. Now, the money that I lost was profit, but I still lost the profit that I made. I still gave them a little bit back. Doesn't matter how nominal it was, it doesn't matter. Okay? You got that. Okay, so once you get off the bus, you gotta literally wait for it to come back around. If you keep running to go after that bus, then of course you shouldn't have gotten off of it. Okay, this is what I mean about occupying yourselves. Right? So this is when I focus more on the things that I need to do. You know, you can check a little bit here and there to see if anything's spontaneous. But by going with the Mithorian Kagadora, I know if I wait until 7, 8, and 9, and 1, I'm going to see its high, I'm going to see its low. Okay, because this is when the Ether's Ra is about to blow. Okay, and by 9, doesn't matter what Bitcoin looks like, we're receiving our load. And by 1, we are in awe spending it. Okay, and the Ethers is going to follow. This is when it's going to want our attention. Okay, this is when it likes to take. Alright, when we're receiving. This is when it gives us bad news so we can be miserable, upset, sad, and angry. Right, when we are receiving stardust, okay, it wants us to rust. Right, it wants us to look at rust. Right, and so if I know to pick up Bitcoin between 1s and 6s maximum, like yesterday, stupid silly me, right? I made a small entry. I made an entry on this rate, okay, because I thought Bitcoin was going to spit up and shoot up to start giving back today. Okay, now it is giving back today, but it didn't spit up anywhere as much as I wanted it to. Okay, it went up like 2% from my purchase point and then started diving back down. I wouldn't even say diving back down, just going down nice and cuddly enough to, make me realize, holy shit, I'm back at where I bought at. I better get out of this shit. Okay, so I went against just on feeling and I got burnt. Okay, when I'm being so struck